and you can quote this on me. There is no way the Orioles or Red Sox make the playoffs this season. Yeah, yeah. There's no way. There's no way.
I set the bar really low at the NBA predictions.
I don't think all Mavs fans look into the stats like I do.
It's not the great value Target brand toilet paper or whatever. It's the Charmin Ultra Strong.
I don't know if Nick Nurse is the coach for the Raptors. I don't know if he's the reason why they won the 2019 championship. I feel like that was more of a team effort.
The Mavs cannot say we do not miss Seth Curry shooting threes.
This questions the firing of Dwayne Casey, who I think is a very underrated coach.
To me, the Capitals really pushed all their chips for this season.
Hello, I'm Mike Grimes, and you've been listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our MLB Opinions of the Week. And the man that's going to be talking about expansion, not of the podcast, but for the MLB, Austin.
Yeah, Kevin, I remember back in February there was this ESPN article regarding expansion, and I was really wondering which city was going to end up getting the next one. I ended up having a conversation with my grandfather regarding it, and I thought it was a very interesting conversation because there's a lot of criteria I feel like you need to meet to be a good expansion city.
Yeah, and what is some of that criteria?
So I think that fanfare, population, affluency of the city, location, and then who would be an owner. So you got to have some sort of somebody in the area that's trying to build a fan base and trying to bring more tourists to the area through athletics. So, Kevin, what is the most important criteria for you regarding an expansion city? I know you don't, but let's say you lived in a or you were an owner and you were trying to choose a place. What was the first checkbox that has to be there, or it's a no-go?
I think you got to have like the idea of fans and like the excitement about a team. Also, what is the expenses of building the infrastructure of the team, like stadium, parking lot, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Those are all really good points. What city do you think? What are some cities that come to mind when you think of expansion right now? So just random cities that you think that probably deserve some sort of representation.
To me, I'll go Nashville, Montreal, because of the Expos. I also would like Louisiana. Kind of pops up into my head. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking out west. You could go Utah as well if you wanted to. Salt Lake City and Utah, since they're getting a hockey team. Those are, yeah, so I'll go Nashville, Montreal, I'll go New Orleans, and then I'll say Salt Lake City. And to get one more, actually, I can't think of any other ones. What about you?
Okay, I'll run down a good bit that I was thinking of. Nashville's obviously a good one. I also think of like Portland. I think of Charlotte. I think of Oklahoma City. I think of San Antonio / Austin. I think of potentially even like if you want to go just by fanfare, guys that the people would definitely go, like a place like El Paso that has 2.7 million people that live in that area because of Juarez as well, and the Latino community is very big at baseball games. Yeah, I think it would definitely be a great thing there. But how do you know a city is going to work? I think people think that like Tampa or Miami was really going to work, and it obviously hasn't. So is there anything that you would try to see as an owner before moving there that you're like, I know this is going to work because of this?
This is gonna sound pretty funny, but I would look into surveys. Also like Facebook group chats. Are there Facebook group chats? Are there petitions for a team? However, I always think there is going to be some risk. So there is that level of risk of this may not work, but you should have a good chance. I think surveys, even though that may not be helpful, it may give you some. It's not going to be perfect because some people may not just respond, but I would look into like Facebook group chats, Twitter group chats, or X group chats, or any types of groups pushing to have a team.
how does the MLB, so not an owner, but the MLB, make sure that the next expansion team isn't like the problem we're having right now with the Florida teams? Because Tampa and Miami, well, Miami has had some very good teams. They've won 2 titles. But it's not been continued success, and nobody really goes to those games. There's been a struggle attendance wise in both of those avenues. How do you think the MLB should guarantee or very much help a new city out?
I think it would start with the owner, because some teams, especially baseball, can be cheap, and I think you should kind of aim for an owner that's very affluent and has a lot of money where they can go spend. Not exactly like the Dodgers, but they can go spend to get a competitive team and bring in superstars. I would also look into the expansion draft, revise that, because we've seen what the expansion draft for the NHL has done, and they produce teams that play well immediately. So looking at that, because competitiveness is a part of it, but to me that's a big part of, if you have a team in the playoffs, people are going to flock to that. We saw that with the Rangers. Um, when they won the World Series, now everyone is lining up outside the stadium to get a ring. And just kind of look at the marketing department and what is the goal of the owner? Is it to make money, or are they passionate about having a baseball team and enjoying that part of it?
Yeah, I agree a lot more with the not necessarily the affluency part, but definitely the willing to spend. I don't think those are correlated. I'd rather have someone who's worth 500 million who really wants to spend than worth 4 billion and is just going to sit there and do nothing. So I do think it depends on the scenario, but I would like to say that winning doesn't always result in fans. If you go like the Rays have made the playoffs, Kevin, the last 5 years. What's the problem there? Is it winning should result in increased attendance, but that's not the case.
That's a good point, and there can be a lot of problems too. Um, to me, competitiveness is like, okay, I'm seeing a team that's good, but also kind of reaching out to the team and building that sort of connection.
Yeah, I definitely think that's important. I would say that finding the right owner, I think, is the most important thing. I think you hit the nail on the head there because that kind of sets the opinion of fans, because I think that's the problem with the Rays. The Rays don't really spend that much money. So even though they're good, I don't think the fans feel like they are appreciated. It's more like they're trying to take the easy, cheap way out. While the owner in some other places, even though the Yankees and Dodgers are much more affluent areas and owners with much more money, it does seem like the owner cares a lot more about winning than the owners of the Rays, of the Marlins, of some other teams. I definitely think that is something that has to happen if they really do want to expand.
Yeah, that's a great point, and yeah, it starts at the top and kind of setting those policies. But that's my answer.
Okay, then I'd like to hear which advocate for the city that you feel deserves an expansion team the most.
So this is funny as well because I am very one of my I've kind of been thinking about career goals, and a career goal of mine is to cover expansion team. I think that is exciting. I think there are a lot of story potentials in covering a team and building that and seeing what they can build and how they play on the field, but also how do they connect to the community. To me, one place where I'm thinking about living, or an exciting place to live, and my sister just moved there, is Nashville. I think that would be a really exciting place. From what I heard, it's a lot of people are going out. You also have country there, so you could have country artists support the team, or have a lot of country nights, theme nights too, to get people into the stadium. And we've seen kind of that level of the fan base, and they are passionate Tennessee Titans fans. And you also have the Predators. I know they've struggled a little bit, but to me, baseball, I like the idea of Nashville and that country aspect, and seeing what country artists um, surround that team. How do they support? I'm sure there are some big time country artists that are fans of baseball, and if they could have a Nashville team. So to me, that's kind of a big city, and it is getting a lot of people. It's very expensive, but it is a town, so I could see a lot of people going there. So that's my pitch for Nashville.
I think mine would be for the San Antonio or Austin area. San Antonio is the 7th largest populated city in the U.S., and Austin's not too far behind that. And if you were to place it in between, my grandfather said in between, but if you were just to place it in San Antonio or in Austin, I feel like it would be huge there. If you look at San Antonio, they only have the Spurs. If you look at Austin, they only have Austin FC, the MLS team. I feel like a top 4 sport there would do immensely well. It's also in the South where I do think baseball can be more popular at times. And I do think that it's kind of crazy to me that there isn't many top 4 sports in those two cities. Maybe it's ownership problems, but if you could get the Spurs owner to believe in buying a team, I do think that would be something that could see a lot of success. The Spurs have been a great franchise since they've been installed, especially in the last 30 years. So I think my pitch would be for Austin or San Antonio, but I could see Nashville. I could also see Charlotte. I think those are my probably top 3 because Charlotte, I also think they have the Panthers, they have the Hornets, and while those teams haven't been great, I do think that they would benefit from having a baseball team. They also have the Hurricanes, even though that's in Raleigh, that's not too far away. So I think Charlotte, Nashville, and San Antonio / Austin, in no particular order, would be the teams I'd love to see get or city get a team.
Yeah, San Antonio is a good pick. I am surprised they only have one major league team, or one of the 4 sports. I personally dislike that because I don't. That feels like too many teams in Texas, but that's just my personal thing. So no Montreal.
They've had their chance. I really do struggle to go back to places because I feel like they've shown their colors. Montreal could work, and it's definitely the one with the highest population base. It has 4.5 million people in the Metroplex. So I do think that it would have a chance, but I am a little bit worried that we've seen what has happened there, and I'm not necessarily confident that it's going to be good if they go back.
That's a fair point. There would be my second city. Give them one more try. But I understand that. But yeah, that's all I have. So okay, you're San Antonio, I'm Nashville, and any final thoughts?
Nope.
Let us know if you have a city in mind. Do you disagree with Nashville or San Antonio, or are you in favor of Montreal? We appreciate you listening, and thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.